What if I told you the reason you're not winning isn't because you're unlucky, not because you're untalented, not because someone's holding you back, but because you're not grinding hard enough? See, people talk about greatness like it's a gift, like it's this magical trait you either have or you don't, but it's not. Greatness is earned. It's carved, calloused, bruised into your bones from doing the work every damn day when no one's looking, when no one's clapping, and when no one believes in you but you. But here's the uncomfortable truth most won't tell you. If you're not grinding, if you're not pushing past the point of comfort, if you're not waking up with a sense of urgency, you do not deserve to be the best. Because someone out there is doing the reps you're skipping. Someone out there is saying no to comfort so they can say yes to domination. Someone is building the exact future you keep fantasizing about, but they're sweating for it while you're still wishing for it. You don't rise just because you want it. You rise because you work for it. Everybody says they want to be the best until they realize what that actually costs. And most people, they're not willing to pay the price. They want shortcuts, hacks, easy wins. But excellence doesn't go on sale. It demands full price, upfront, no refunds. So the real question is, are you grinding like someone who actually deserves what you're asking for? Or are you sitting in the fantasy of success hoping it shows up just because you said you want it? If you're not grinding, don't expect to be the best. And if that stings a little good, that means you're waking up. Let's talk about what it really takes. Success doesn't care how tired you are. It doesn't care if you're having a rough day, if your friends don't support you, or if your motivation vanished the moment your alarm went off. Success isn't emotional. It doesn't show up because you feel ready. It shows up for the person who shows up regardless. We live in a world that tells us to listen to our feelings constantly. Go with the flow. Wait until it feels right. Don't push yourself too hard. That kind of language sounds soft, comforting, even healthy. But if you want to be great, if you want to be the best, you need to understand something very clearly. Feelings are liars. They whisper things to keep you small. They convince you that temporary comfort is more important than long-term impact. And if you keep obeying them, they'll rob you of every ounce of potential you've got. The truth is, nobody feels motivated every day. Even the elite performers, the champions, the people you admire and try to model yourself after, they have off days too. But here's what separates them from the crowd. They do the work anyway. They've trained themselves to not depend on emotional permission. They don't ask themselves, do I feel like it? They tell themselves, this gets done no matter what. You have to build that same muscle because discipline will take you places motivation never could. You might be exhausted, you might be doubting yourself, you might be carrying emotional weight that no one else can see. And I get it. Those things are real. But so is the fact that your dreams aren't going to build themselves. No one's coming to knock on your door with a perfectly packaged life, handed to you just because you meant well or had good intentions. The world rewards action, not emotion. Let's be clear, success doesn't reward sensitivity. It rewards consistency. And sometimes that means dragging yourself through the mud when your body is sore, your heart is heavy, and your mind is screaming for relief. That's when it counts. That's where the edge is. Anyone can work hard when it's easy. Anyone can feel powerful when everything's going their way. But when you still grind, even when it hurts, you're sending a message to life that says, I will not be moved. You don't get to become excellent by only showing up on the days when your schedule is clear and your coffee is perfect and your headspace is calm. Life rarely works that way. More often than not, the opportunities you're praying for will show up at the worst possible time, in the middle of your overwhelm, in the chaos, in your burnout. And if you're the kind of person who always waits until things feel right, you'll miss every single one of them. Being the best demands that you lead yourself through resistance, through fear, through fatigue. There is no magic formula, no secret hack, just you, your habits, and your capacity to follow through when most people would quit. You can't build mental toughness reading quotes. You can't become unbreakable from a podcast. You build it in the ugly, lonely moments. When you're up late working while everyone else sleeps. When you're staying in the train while others are out to play. When you're holding the line, refusing to negotiate your standards, even when it would be so easy to let it slide. And no, this isn't glamorous. It's not supposed to be. You don't get growth without grind. You don't get the reward without the repetition. And you certainly don't get to call yourself the best if you only put in the effort when life is cooperating with your schedule. If you're serious about becoming someone who rises above, you need to develop a brutal kind of honesty with yourself. Are you showing up only when it's convenient? Or are you showing up because you've decided to be consistent, no matter what? You will not always feel like grinding. But guess what? That feeling isn't required. What's required is action. What's required is commitment. What's required is the decision to keep moving forward, even when your legs are shaking, your mind is screaming, and every part of you wants to rest. Success does not adapt to your emotions. You have to adapt to the demands of success. So stop waiting for your feelings to line up perfectly before you act. They won't. Your mind will give you every excuse in the book to delay, to quit, to wait. Just one more day. That's what it's wired to do, protect you. But growth isn't safe. Greatness isn't comfortable. Being the best means you reprogram that instinct and say, I don't care how I feel. I care what I finish. No one will remember how tired you were. No one will give you a trophy for almost doing it. The world doesn't reward almost. It rewards done. It rewards excellence. And excellence is not built on feelings. It's built on follow through. So if you're tired, good. If you're scared, good. If you're uncertain, perfect. Because now you get to make a choice that separates you from the rest. Do you grind or do you go back to sleep? Do you push through or do you pull back? Do you act like someone who deserves the title of the best? Or do you settle into being just good enough? Because I promise you this, success isn't checking on your emotions. It's checking on your habits. And if you're not grinding, don't expect to be the best. The best already paid the price. Question is, are you willing to? Everyone loves the idea of grinding until it gets real, until it stops being exciting, until it's no longer about the highlight reels, the motivational playlists, the perfectly filtered Instagram posts. The real grind, it's dirty, it's lonely, it's repetitive, it's boring, and it will break you down before it ever builds you up. But that's the truth most people run from. They want the glow of greatness, not the grime of the journey. Because when people talk about the grind, they picture something dramatic, late nights lit by the glow of a laptop, coffee in hand, music blasting, ideas flowing, and progress happening in beautiful cinematic bursts. But that's not what it actually looks like. Real grind isn't aesthetic. Real grind is brutal repetition. It's doing the same thing again and again when nobody notices. It's showing up to train when you're tired, reading when you don't feel like it, practicing when everyone else is relaxing. It's having the discipline to outlast your emotion. Most people confuse hype with hustle. They chase energy instead of endurance. But energy runs out. Hype fades. And if your work ethic is built on feeling pumped, you'll collapse the moment life punches you in the mouth. The ones who rise, the ones who stay rising, are the ones who don't need it to feel good to keep going. Grinding means being okay with repetition. It means understanding that mastery is not built on novelty. It's built on doing the boring things better than anyone else. You want to be the best, then be willing to live in the repetition. Be willing to do that same rep, that same drill, that same routine until it's muscle memory, until you're so good they can't ignore you. You don't get strong because you go to the gym when you're excited. You get strong because you go when you're exhausted, when you're sore, when you're pissed, when the last thing you want to do is walk through those doors, but you still show up. That's grit, and grit is the real grind. And grit is also quiet. Nobody claps for you when you choose discipline over distraction. Nobody gives you a standing ovation for staying in when your friends are out partying. Nobody notices when you're sitting in front of a book trying to push through the fog of self-doubt or exhaustion just to finish one more chapter. But that's the point. The grind isn't designed to be seen. It's meant to transform you, not to entertain others. People want success to look good. They want it to feel good, but excellence doesn't care about how you look. It cares about how you last. And if you can't stomach the ugly part of the process, you don't deserve the beautiful result. There are going to be days where the grind feels like hell, where nothing clicks, where you question why you started in the first place. You'll want to quit. You'll tell yourself it's not worth it. Your mind will whisper 100 reasons to stop, but that's when you dig in. That's when you lean harder. Because pushing through those moments is what sharpens your edge. That's where champions are made. Not in the easy, confident, high-energy seasons, but in the low ones, the uncertain ones, the ones that almost break you. Grinding means doing the work when nobody's watching, when nobody is validating you, when the results haven't shown up yet, when everything in you wants to bail, but you choose to stay locked in. That's where the greatness is. Not in motivation, but in grit. Not in inspiration, but in obsession. Grinding isn't about speed. It's about stamina. It's not about massive leaps. It's about consistent steps, one after another every single day, even when you're crawling, even when you don't see progress, because true grinders trust the process. They understand that every brick, every drop of sweat, every silent sacrifice is part of something bigger. The grind is lonely too, because when you start leveling up, you'll notice fewer people around you who understand. You'll have to say no to things you used to enjoy. You'll outgrow conversations. You'll lose people who don't want to grow with you. That's part of it. The grind separates the committed from the curious. It's not meant to be comfortable, it's meant to change you. You can't expect to be elite while behaving like the average. You can't expect to lead while training like a follower. You can't expect to be unstoppable if every time life gets inconvenient, you pull back. So understand this, if you want real success, the kind that lasts, you better get comfortable being uncomfortable. You better fall in love with repetition, with silence, with sacrifice, because that's the grind. It's not sexy, it's not pretty, but it's worth it. And here's the best part. Once you truly embrace the grind, everything changes. You stop fearing hard work, you stop seeking shortcuts, you stop waiting for the right moment, and start creating it. You become dangerous. Not because you're the loudest, the flashiest, or the most talented, but because you're relentless. So forget the glamour. Forget the filters. The grind is gritty. The grind is hard. And if you're not willing to live in the grit, don't expect to taste the glory. Because only those who grind for real earn the right to rise. Everyone wants the results. Everyone wants to shine. But few want to suffer. Few want to endure the truth of what it takes to get there. We live in a time where the word grind has been dressed up with filters and captions, romanticized into something trendy, something cute. But the real grind, it's not glamorous, it's gritty, it's raw, unfiltered, and unapologetically uncomfortable. Grinding means waking up before the sun, not for a photo opportunity, but because your goals demand it. It's staying late while others log off, pushing through the exhaustion when your body begs you to stop. It's repeating the same skills, the same drills, the same routines over and over again until your performance becomes second nature. Not because it's exciting, but because it's necessary. There's nothing fun about the grind. There's no audience cheering you on, no instant gratification. You're in the trenches alone, working while nobody is watching, choosing growth when distraction would be easier. People won't see those nights when you turned down invitations, sacrificed sleep, and gave up comfort to show up for your goals. And they're not supposed to. That's what makes the grind sacred. The truth is, you won't always love the process. There will be mornings where your alarm feels like the enemy, nights where your mind is heavy and your motivation is missing, days where you question if all this effort is even worth it. And in those moments, the people who only wanted the image of success fall away. But the ones who keep grinding, the ones who embrace the pain, the fatigue, the monotony, those are the ones who separate themselves from the rest. See, the grind doesn't ask for your permission. It doesn't wait for your energy to be perfect. It doesn't pause when you're tired or hurt or doubting yourself. It just is. And if you want to be great, you have to meet it where it lives, in the daily discomfort, in the repetition, in the silence. That's where character is built. That's where grit is developed, not through inspiration, but through discipline. So you're not going to feel inspired every day. You're not going to wake up every morning with fire in your soul. That's just not reality. What is reality is this: if you show up regardless, if you push forward through the resistance, you start to become dangerous because you're no longer relying on feelings. You're being powered by commitment. Grinding means choosing to be uncommon. While most people are looking for shortcuts, you're building stamina. While others seek hacks, you're building habits. You're not skipping steps, you're stacking them, day after day, set after set, sacrifice after sacrifice. There is a reason few make it to the top. Not because they weren't talented, not because they didn't want it, but because they weren't willing to grind through the middle. That place where everything feels hard and nothing feels exciting. That's where most give up. But if you can survive the middle, if you can learn to love the uncomfortable, to respect the repetition, to embrace the silence, that's when you start to evolve into something unstoppable. It's easy to look at someone who's made it and say they're lucky or they had it easier. What people don't see are the years of unseen effort, the sacrifices, the tears, the setbacks, the loneliness, the grind behind the glow. Success is built in the shadows long before it's ever seen in the light. And no, it's not supposed to be glamorous. It's not supposed to look good or feel easy. It's supposed to break you, because in the breaking, you rebuild stronger. In the struggle, you develop resilience. Every rep, every early morning, every late night, every time you choose the hard thing over the easy path, you sharpen your edge. Grinding is gritty because it demands more than you think you have. It asks you to push past what's comfortable, past what's convenient, past what's popular. It doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're scared. It doesn't even care if you fail the first few times. What it demands is consistency, heart, discipline. You have to stop chasing perfection and start honoring progress. Stop waiting for everything to align and start getting to work with what you have. Your breakthrough doesn't live in motivation. It lives in your ability to do the work when it's not exciting, to keep showing up when it's not rewarding, to keep pushing when no one's clapping. So if you're in that season right now, the gritty part where nothing is pretty and everything feels like a battle, good, you're in the right place. That's what the real grind feels like. And if you stay in it long enough, if you keep your head down and your effort high, you will rise, not by chance, not by hype, but because you earned it. Remember this, the grind owes you nothing, but if you respect it, if you stay loyal to the process, even when it's brutal, it will pay you back in ways you can't imagine. And that's what sets you apart, not how you start, not how you feel, but how you grind when it's gritty, not glamorous. Everyone wants to be the best until they realize what it actually costs. Being the best isn't a title, it's a standard, it's a way of life. And the harsh truth is this, you don't get to call yourself the best if you train like the rest. You don't get to stand on the podium if you're doing the same easy reps, following the same lazy routines, making the same excuses as everyone else. Greatness isn't an accident. It's engineered through intentional, relentless, uncommon effort. Most people are in love with the idea of success. They love the trophies, the applause, the admiration, but they train like it's just a hobby. They show up when it's convenient. They push hard only when someone is watching. They're addicted to comfort and allergic to pressure. That's not how you become elite. That's how you stay average. The best don't look for the bare minimum. They search for the edge. They don't care what everyone else is doing. They're asking, what more can I do? They're obsessed with finding their limits and then blowing past them. They don't compare themselves to the crowd. The crowd isn't the competition. Their potential is. And every day, they train to close that gap. You can't train casually and expect exceptional results. You can't do what the majority is doing and expect to be in the top 1%. If you want to rise, you've got to burn for it. You've got to sacrifice more, focus more, bleed more. Your work ethic should intimidate people. Your routine should challenge them. If no one around you is saying, damn, that's intense, you're probably not pushing hard enough. You don't get to be the best by doing what's popular. You get there by doing what's necessary. That means waking up earlier, staying later, studying harder, practicing longer. It means saying no to distractions. It means skipping comfort for consistency. It means making your life revolve around your mission, not squeezing it in between leisure and laziness. And let's be clear, training like the rest isn't just about your physical effort. It's about your mindset. It's how you respond when you're tired, when you fail, when you lose, when everything is stacked against you. The average mindset folds. It rationalizes weakness. It looks for ways out. The elite mindset, it absorbs the pressure. It learns from the loss. It feeds on resistance. That's the kind of training that sharpens a competitor into a champion. You want to be the best? Then everything matters. Your sleep, your diet, your focus, your circle, your attitude, your discipline. People say they want it, but they're not willing to live it. You can't be elite for 1 hour in the gym and then act like everyone else the rest of the day. Your identity has to match your goals. Your lifestyle has to reflect your ambition. If it doesn't, you're lying to yourself. Because being the best is not just about intensity, it's about consistency. It's not about one crazy fired up day. It's about 1,000 silent days where you put in the work without applause, without motivation, without validation. That's what builds real power. That's what creates the separation. The best are not always the most talented. They are the most relentless. They show up when it's boring, when it's hard, when it's lonely. And that's what makes them unstoppable. You can't afford to blend in if you want to stand out. So stop asking what's everyone else doing and start asking what is required to be the best, and then do that. Whether it's popular or not, whether it's fun or not, whether you feel like it or not, that's the difference between those who win once and those who dominate for years. Most people are too soft on themselves. They negotiate with their own laziness. They reward themselves for mediocrity. They give themselves a pass every time things get tough. But the best are ruthless with their own standards. They don't need someone else to hold them accountable. They do it themselves. They don't seek permission. They demand progress. This is not about ego. It's about ownership. If you want to be the best, then act like it before you feel like it. Put in the hours, sacrifice the noise, dial in your focus, choose growth over comfort every single time. And when others ask, why are you doing so much? Your answer is simple, because I'm not like the rest. At the end of the day, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your training. So if your training is soft, your results will be too. If your mindset is average, your outcomes will match. You want elite outcomes? Then train with elite intensity, elite focus, elite discipline. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for the perfect plan. Don't wait until others believe in you. Just start training like the person you want to become. Show up like someone who deserves to win. Move like someone who expects to lead. Think like someone who refuses to lose. Because if you're training like the rest, you're just preparing to stay in the middle. And you aren't built for the middle. You were built to rise. So train like it, grind like it, live like it. If you walk away with only one truth, let it be this: you don't get to be legendary by doing what's ordinary. The best don't wait for motivation. They build discipline. They don't follow the crowd. They outwork it. And they sure as hell don't expect world-class results from half-hearted effort. Every decision you make, what time you wake up, how hard you train, what you say yes and no to, is either pulling you closer to greatness or pushing you deeper into mediocrity. And that choice, that responsibility, it's yours. No one's going to save you. No one's going to hand you greatness, and they shouldn't. Because the satisfaction doesn't come from getting there. It comes from becoming the person it takes to get there. So if you're tired of watching others pass you by, tired of wondering why you're stuck while others grow, look at your grind. Look at how you're showing up. And be honest, are you training like someone who deserves to win? Because here's the truth. Most people run from, you will never have more than you are willing to work for. Not in business, not in fitness, not in life. You don't get what you wish for. You get what you grind for. So raise your standards, tighten your circle, sharpen your focus, train like the underdog with something to prove. Because that hunger, that edge, that's what turns average into unstoppable. You weren't born to blend in. You weren't built to be part of the pack. You were made to lead it. Now go train like it every damn day.